It's Shell Cordovan Belt Time. Hey everybody, it's Phil from Ashland Leather. I'm really excited to show you our second ever run of Shell Cordovan belts. And for this run, we're going to be making them in natural Shell Cordovan. And if you're interested in picking up a natural Shell Cordovan belt, you can find this on the private stock page of our website, ashlandleather.com. These will be made and shipped in about 8 to 12 weeks. Before we get into some of the details of the natural Shell Cordovan belt, let me show you how we size these. If you want to size correctly, take off your current belt and you want to measure from where the leather wraps around the buckle here. And next you need to find whatever hole you're wearing. So if you're using this hole on your current belt and it lines up with size 34, we suggest ordering a size 34, and typically for sizing, if you're wearing a size 36-inch jean, you might want to size up to a size 38 for the belt. That's normally what we see most people fit into. Or if you have dress pants, the belts that we use are roughly the same size as your dress pants. Let's get into some of the details of the natural Shell Cordovan belt. Of course, we have the natural Shell Cordovan on the exterior of the belt, as you can see here, and it's also made in 3 pieces. The Shell Cordovan itself is not long enough to make a single piece of cordovan throughout the whole length of the belt, so we have to split it up into 3 parts. For the first round of Shell Cordovan belts, we did this color here. This is one of my favorite colors of all time. Color number 4 Shell Cordovan, really interesting medium brown shade with those reddish undertones. And I'm taking off my belt here to show you. I've been wearing this color 4 Shell belt for the last 5 months now. I think I've been wearing this since December and I've been really enjoying it. I have not polished this at all, and I wanted to show you just a good sense of how nicely this leather wears in. Again, never been polished, and you can see it's pretty similar, if not more interesting looking than the belt was originally. In the world of Cordovan belts, I've noticed a lot of them are more focused towards dress belts, and they tend to be a little bit more narrow for a dress belt. Ours are 1.5-inch belt strips, and they're extra thick. We're actually lining this with a horsehide strip on the back. And that's a fun story. That was actually the original inspiration for us to make more of these casual style Cordovan belts. We wanted to bring it back to 1905, where Horween was producing exactly these 2 pieces of leather. It was Cordovan as well as horsebutt strips. And these were used in a product called a razor strop. Back in the day, before disposable razors or safety razors, everybody had a straight razor and you had to sharpen it and hone the blade yourself. So the 2 sides of the razor strop are exactly the same 2 sides of the belt here. In theory, you could hang up this Shell Cordovan belt on the wall and sharpen it on the back side of the belt and then hone it on the shell side. I'll explain this a little bit further because in the pits where Horween tans these leathers, they introduce a bunch of tree barks, and the Cordovan shells, that dense fiber layer that's very bright and shiny here, is tanned alongside the other part of the horse butt. And this is what is called the horse butt strip. This is just above the shells in the hide. And that's what we have on the back here. I want to zoom in and show you a little bit more of the characteristics on the liner here. This is the horse butt strip I've been talking about. And you can see there's much more grain character and texture on the strip, and on the shell side, you can see it's that very bright and shiny and very smooth texture, very different than the back side of the belt that has all this grain character. There are a couple other things about our Shell Cordovan belt that are more unique. I've noticed on the other Cordovan belts in the world, this little seam where you have to overlap the 2 layers of leather and join them together. Sometimes they're layered on top of each other. Ours are butted up against each other, so you get a flatter appearance, where some of the other patterns that I've seen lay on top of each other, and those tend to pop off a little bit. The other thing about those that I don't love is there's stitching usually on the back side of the belt. And you can see here, we do not have that stitch go all the way across to the back. So I've noticed it's just a little bit more comfortable without that stitch going across the leather here. The other thing that's a little bit more unique are these teardrop shaped holes. Most belts we see in the world are circular shaped. I like the teardrops just because it's a little bit different, but it's not too loud. It's not too overbearing. It's just a small, subtle change. And the good thing about the teardrop shaped holes are these are sort of how the holes are going to wear in naturally. So we're sort of expediting how the holes will form just with normal use. Here's a look at the tip of the belt. We have a little bit of a squared off, kind of rounded teardrop shape as well here. And for the edges of the belt, on the natural shell belt here, we've only applied a little bit of wax and then have done a bunch of hand burnishing. We've also beveled down the edges a little bit so you get a nice rounded corner. The way that we finish off the edges with that waxing and burnishing kind of makes it a more wooden appearance. And that's interesting because this leather is tanned with tree barks. So in a way it is partially wood. And I wanted to compare the natural waxed and burnished edge with the color 4 edge from the belt we did a few months ago. Here's the color 4 stained edge, just to give you a sense of the difference of these two belts. The other thing that we're using is a solid brass buckle, and this is with an antique brass finish. We fold the leather all the way around there and then stamp your size on the back. All right, natural shell Cordovan belts are up and available for pre-order. Right now, we're gonna put these up for a week. Last time we did the color 4, they went kind of quickly because we had to limit the quantities. We're actually not able to make too many shell Cordovan belts just because the length of the leather that we need in the shells is kind of tough to get. And then with a rare color like the color 4, as well as the natural shell Cordovan, they're pretty tough to make. So if you're interested in the natural shell Cordovan belt, take a look at the private stock page on our website. If you have any questions on sizing, I'd be more than happy to help you. In fact, I would prefer to help you because we really want this to be a belt that you wear forever. So if you need help with sizing, you can send an email to info@ashlandleather.com or just leave a comment in the YouTube video here and I'll help you out myself. Thanks so much for checking out the natural shell Cordovan belt. Until next time, I hope you have a good one.